Welcome back, Careblazer. In today's video, I want to share some information that's important to know whenever you're thinking about the different stages of dementia. Specifically, I want to share with you 4 pieces of information that's really important to keep in mind whenever you're trying to find out what stage of dementia your loved one is in. Next week, I'm going to share with you specific staging models, basically specific ways and tools for how to determine what stage of dementia your loved one is in. But in this video, I want to clear up some common misconceptions that people have when they think about the stages of dementia and answer some common questions that frequently come up when they're trying to figure out what stage their loved one is in. So 4 really important pieces of information that will help you and make next week's video make even more sense. And real quick, if you haven't already, there's a Careblazer survival guide I put together for you. It's completely free and it's located in the description below this video. You can just click on the link to get your free guide. So the first thing I want you to know is that there are many different kinds of dementia staging models. This means that there are many different tools that people use to try to figure out what stage somebody is in. There are very simple models like the 3-stage models. There's some more detailed models like the 7-stage models. There's even models that only look at function and don't really consider thinking. There's complicated models that use gemstones to try to describe the different stages. So whenever somebody is trying to talk about what stage of dementia their loved one is, it doesn't give you too much information if you don't exactly know, well, what model are you using? Like, what tool did you use to come up with that? Because stage 2 in one model might be completely different than stage 2 in another model. Or you might hear the word, you might hear gemstone and that doesn't make much sense to you, but for somebody who's familiar with that staging model, it makes sense to them. All of this different information is enough to make anybody confused, and my goal is to make this information as simple as possible. So the important thing to know whenever people are talking about stages, or you're talking about stages, is that there are different tools to determine what stage your loved one is in, and what tool are you going to use, or what tool is the provider using, or is anybody using when they're trying to talk about stages. And again, next week I'm going to go over some of those, the most common tools that you can use, so that you'll at least have a reference. The second thing I really want you to know about dementia stages is that it really is more of a continuum rather than a clear defined stage. Many people with dementia can seem to be in between stages. They might not fit clear cut in any one stage. And sometimes people with dementia will look like they're in one stage, and then one day they might look like they're in this, they're in the not so bad stage, like they move between stages sometimes. This kind of can drive Careblazers crazy or make you feel confused about, like, well, what stage is my loved one in? Yesterday they were doing awful and today they're having a wonderful conversation. They seem to fluctuate back and forth. That's exactly why the stages are on a continuum. You want to think about them as fluid and that they kind of can have some movement in there. It's not that when somebody gets into one stage, they stay there and there's a clear moment or a clear symptom that automatically puts them in the next stage. It's not that clear cut, unfortunately, like so much with dementia. The best thing to do is to keep in mind, rather than looking at any one day or any one week, you want to kind of step back and take a look at this month. How are they doing? This past 4 months, how have they been doing? Whenever you're looking at a staging model and trying to decide where they are, because there's so much fluctuation day to day, or there can be, you want to step back and look at the bigger picture when you're thinking about what symptoms they're showing and what stage they might be in. The third thing that's important for you to know is that the progression from stage to stage is different for everyone. You can have 2 people with the same age, the same exact dementia, but how quickly or slowly they move from one stage to the next varies. There's no set amount of time that anybody spends in any one stage. There's so many other factors involved, like their diet, their environment, other medical conditions, the help that they receive, any prior mental health conditions. All of these things in the environment and with their own medical history impacts the rate of progression. And the fourth and final thing that's important to know is that you can't just look at one symptom to determine what stage somebody's in. So if your loved one all of a sudden didn't recognize you, or your loved one all of a sudden couldn't remember how to make their favorite recipe, or had trouble getting dressed, none of those behaviors on their own tell you what stage they're in. It's really about stepping back and looking at the bigger picture and multiple behaviors put together that will give you the information you need to determine the specific stage. All right, so to recap and to help you before you watch next week's video on how to specifically get the stage for your loved one, number one, there are different tools you can use to find out what stage somebody's in. These are called dementia staging models. Number two, stages of dementia are more on a continuum rather than clear defined stage where a person stays. Number three, there's no set amount of time that anyone spends in the different stages. It's different for everyone and relies on a variety of factors. And number four, you can't just look at one symptom to determine the stage. You need to look at the bigger picture. Careblazer, I hope this video helped give you some additional information about what stages of dementia mean and the information that goes into them. Next week, I'll go over specifically different stages of dementia and how to determine what stage your loved one might be in. I hope that this has helped you. If it has, please consider clicking that red subscribe button on your screen. It's completely free. I'll be back next week with a new video. In the meantime, Careblazer, hang in there. Does anybody hear the thunder? It's been thundering. I'm supposed to record a few more videos, but I'm going to pause and go sit outside and watch the thunder and rain because we don't get this very much in Arizona. This is like a special treat.